From the heart of Harare's central business district, we journey through the city's vibrant streets, leaving behind the rush of the capital and arriving at one of Zimbabwe's most iconic institutions of higher learning, the University of Zimbabwe. The country is undergoing a quiet but profound transformation, one where education is no longer confined to classrooms, but is actively shaping industry, productivity, and national development.
We constructed and operationalized 7 innovation hubs, 5 agro-industrial parks as physical anchors for production, value addition, and rural industrialization. We had also some tangible commercialization. We registered a record 182 commercialized intellectual properties during NDS1. And this led to market products in various areas in the country, like the Mutoko biodiesel, the biofine products, the pulp gadgets which are being organized in Bundura, Mapfura wine in Munezi, as you know, and the New Gold brand, moving ideas from the lab to the marketplace.
Under the National Development Strategy 1, a new philosophy emerges, Heritage-Based Education 5.0, redefining the purpose of higher learning and aligning knowledge with economic transformation.
At the University of Zimbabwe, with the introduction of the Heritage-Based Education 5.0 to produce goods and services, we developed and constructed an innovation hub, developed programs in the innovation hub that would see students, current students, graduate students, people from industry, people from communities coming to the innovation hub to exercise their creativity towards the production of goods and services. And this is now generated then the capacity to say, how do we take that towards industrialization? And we had to produce a typical industrial setup particularly in the agriculture and food systems sector. And that's how the idea of the Agroindustrial Park emerged, because as you know, we start with the food, we start with nutrition, food security is first.
The University of Zimbabwe developed in agriculture a system which is research, innovation, and industrialization ecosystem. So within this ecosystem, which is like I indicated, the research, innovation, and industrialization ecosystem, we have got the Agroindustrial Park, which have got so many enterprises within it. So we have got the agro production and the agro processing, as well as the retail side. So from the agro production side, that's where we start from the soil. We start from soil preparation, which is soil testing. After testing our soils, we then get the recommendations in terms of fertilizer applications. So we apply what we call appropriate agronomic practices, which where we grow our maize, our soybean, our wheat, as well as beans, as well as so many other horticultural crops. So what then happens with these plants that we grow, the maize, we then actually take them from the production side and bring them here to the agro processing unit, where we have got 3 important plants: the edible oil extraction plant and the refinery, then the bread and the confectionery plant, then the stock feed manufacturing plant. So what happens with our maize is it comes here straight into our feed processing plant. Then the soybean actually is brought here. It goes through the crushing and extraction of cooking oil. So after extraction of cooking oil, we have got 2 important products: the cooking oil itself, as well as the soya cake. So the soya cake then is actually taken to the other plant, which is the stock feed manufacturing plant. So in the stock feed manufacturing plant, that's where we then process our feed. And after processing the feed, we then take it to the production again, where we have got our 100,000 poultry production unit, where we then actually feed our poultry with our product, which we call New Gold feedstock. So what it means, from the soil, we have got our crops that we grow there. Then we bring them here and develop them into a product that then the poultry unit utilizes to produce our meat.
This marks a decisive shift from Education 3.0, where institutions primarily produced graduates, to a new era where universities become centers of innovation, production, and national solution.
With a mandate to supply the raw materials to the agro processing plant, we grew maize. Our maize grain for process of the milling mill, the roller mill, the super refined mill, and also supplying the stock feed plant for our livestock. Then we produce soybeans for the edible oil plant, and also from the processing of the edible oil, the byproducts like the soya meal goes straight to the stock feed plant for the manufacturing of broiler feeds, pig feeds, layers feeds for our production at livestock. So we benefit a lot from the processing plant because our livestock, all the feeds are processed in-house at our agro processing plant.
At the center of this transformation stands the Agroindustrial Park, a living demonstration of Education 5.0 in action, where research meets land and knowledge becomes productivity. Here, innovation begins in the soil. Crops are cultivated using research-driven techniques and modern agricultural science. The land feeds livestock. Livestock feed the nation. And an integrated production chain takes shape efficient, deliberate, and sustainable. This is value addition in motion. From raw agricultural produce to finished goods, the Agro-Industrial Park transforms harvest into stock feeds, bread, cooking oil, and a range of food products for human consumption, moving quite literally from the soil to the shelves.
As you can see, we are going commercial, and as NDS1, we wanted to increase industries, and this is one of the initiatives whereby the government is trying to increase industries, and this industry is likely to be replicated in other areas as well, not only located here, but in other areas in the country.
Everything that we are doing here is in line with the National Development Strategy 1, and now we are transitioning into 2. But how are we linked to this? You would find out that the University of Zimbabwe Agro-Industrial Park is actually actualizing heritage-based education 5.0 philosophy that was crafted by the government of Zimbabwe. So you would then find out that we from our production, we have got students. Students are coming here and do what we call work-related learning. In work-related learning, it means students are going to be having hands-on practical that they end up actually doing. You would find out that in our livestock, we do we apply a lot of technologies such as feed formulation, on-farm feed formulation, artificial insemination, and in order to be able to have our vets who are going to be vet doctors who are going to be well prepared, they come regularly and do they can actually participate in artificial insemination. Some of them, they are attached here, they spend the entire year here and actually learning 1 or 2 things. So by the end of the day, they leave this place very much skilled in terms of artificial insemination, in terms of pregnant diagnosis, in terms of vaccination, in terms of whatever practical aspect that needs to be done in livestock. And in the processing plant, we also have got students that comes from the faculty of engineering. You know, we have got a lot of equipment now. and these plants have to be maintained. So we have got engineering students who comes here and do a lot of other work in terms of hands-on work-related learning. So from that, you end up actually having skilled labor that are actually coming from the University of Zimbabwe Agroindustrial Park. Then in terms of food security, we have upped the game in terms of productivity. We are now producing almost 8 tons per hectare in terms of our yield. Last year alone, we produced 2,000 tons of maize. That's a sign that we are now contributing to food security, food nutrition. Actually, I adopted the philosophy. We're actually fulfilling the mandate or the motto of the Ministry of Agriculture, who says food security everywhere, every day. So the University of Zimbabwe has done that through this University of Zimbabwe Agroindustrial Park in terms of making sure that there is sufficient supply of raw materials that goes into industrialization. We are taking research from the lab and bring it here. And you would then find out we are translating research output into real products that end up on the shelves of Zimbabwean supermarkets. So definitely we have actually hit the core of the president of Zimbabwe, and doing it extremely well in terms of that aspect.
This movement from soil to shelves demonstrates value addition in motion, strengthening food security, reducing import dependency, and expanding domestic industrial capacity. At the center of these ecosystems are students actively engaged in research, production, and technological application. Innovation hubs and industrial facilities provide immersive learning environments where theory dissolves into practice and knowledge is tested against real economic demands. A new mindset begins to emerge, one that prepares graduates not only to participate in the labor market, but to create enterprises, drive innovation, and contribute to national productivity.
I joined this program of diploma in agriculture because a lot inspired me. Before the Innovation Hub, there was theory, a lot of theory, and less practical. But now, due to Innovation Hub, there's a lot of hands-on, and here again, it brings a new world to us as young generation.
Learning has been predominantly theoretical and lecture-room based. In other words, learning problem solving was mainly focused on solving textbook problems without a clear understanding of the practical aspect of things. So here I'm working on providing real-time solutions to engineering problems with the guidance of great engineers and mentors. Through the processes of oil refinery and other engineering projects, we've managed to develop systems which will enable us to make this process even faster and very accurate. So in improving the food security, providing the agro products, we've managed to improve the food security in Zimbabwe.
Beyond the campus gates, the impact widens. The Agroindustrial Park creates employment, transfers skills, and stimulates surrounding communities. Farmers adopt improved techniques, residents find livelihoods, and local economies are energized. This is inclusive growth, the very essence of NDS1.
The University of Zimbabwe Agroindustrial Park has already demonstrated that this thing can be done, and industrialization should actually start from the rural areas. So our thinking is the government, if it is possible, they can actually try to make sure that this model can be installed in different provinces, and we end up actually having participation. Actually, for example, now that the government is establishing these village business units, actually they can put these model plans in these village business units, allow the farmers to grow maize, allow the farmers to grow different crops that then are used as raw materials by these plants. And by so doing, we end up actually having improved livelihoods in terms of those communities, because they end up actually selling their crops somewhere. Currently, the farmers are complaining that it's difficult for them sometimes to get the market for some of their products. But now, if these plans can be replicated and placed in different locations of the country, we end up having the offtake of these crops, and they will be linked to the production units and the processing units. That way, farmers will produce for the market, and there will be a ready market for that. And that will actually make sure that Zimbabwe develop and achieve the vision of the president of the country, which says by 2020-30, we look at Zimbabwe being an upper middle income economy. And that's exactly where we are going. If this model is replicated and make sure that we continue to develop it and produce with farmers, with everyone achi-embrace nyaya yekuti nyika inovakwa nevene vayo porega kuwana anotarisa kunze, but tongoziva kuti tikadaro mukuvaka nyika yedu brick by brick tinosvika kwatiri kufanira kuti tiende.
This transformation reflects a broader national ambition to position education as a strategic pillar of industrialization and economic modernization, from classrooms to processing plants, from research to market shelves. A development pathway emerges, one that gradually reshapes productivity, strengthens industry, and accelerates Zimbabwe's progress towards upper middle income status.
What His Excellency did is a game changer, not only for Zimbabwe, it's for Africa and other parts of the world that will learn from Zimbabwe. He has developed an architecture through the heritage-based education 5.0 and the NDS1 in its totality. It provides a good architecture for us to transform as a nation in our thinking and in our way of doing things. The culture for doing business is changed. So that visionary leadership is inspired also new thinking within ourselves as universities. And the leaders that we will see behind is that, for example, the University of Zimbabwe will become your center of excellence in research and innovation. And that has begun now to show on the continent. The heritage-based education 5.0 is an ideological thinking and the architecture of education that will change the way Africa thinks about education. Zimbabwe is a knowledge-based economy and innovation-led economy. That on its own, provided by His Excellency and Chancellor, shows that the direction is clear on how the university should operate. So it forms the foundation of the legacy. The outputs that you will see in infrastructure, in innovation hubs, industrial parks, and so on, are only results of that will testify to that legacy. We also have the graduates themselves doing startups. We have now startups that have been developed out of the different economic sectors. We have companies now wholly owned by the university. We have patents that are being registered. All those things will shape the legacy of the thinking that the President, His Excellency, has about the role of education in developing this nation.
Degrees are no longer just certificates of completion. They are declarations of capabilities. Awards are no longer symbols of excellence alone. They are reflections of a nation learning to produce.
As we look back at the milestones in the education sector since the adoption of the heritage-based education 5.0 model under the Second Republic, particularly in institutions of higher learning, our nation has every reason to be proud. Universities and tertiary institutions continue to transform graduates from being mere employment seekers to individuals with skills to produce goods and products that meet the needs of our economy while becoming employment creators. The sector is living up to our national development philosophy. Nyika inovakwa, igotongwa, igonamatirwa. Hallelujah.